Hey.
Hey, don't come around here no more.
Is that a country song?
No, not really.
Sounds like a country song.
It's what's his name? Died recently. Tom Petty. I was thinking about going to see him, and I said, I don't want to see him at a festival. I want to see him when he comes back on tour by himself. He was dead a couple months later.
Oh.
Also, rest in peace, Alex Trebek. Sorry, we're starting this out sadly, but we are.
Yeah, bring us down.
We're close to Dia de los Muertos, which happened recently.
All right, well, hey.
Hey.
We just saw a movie.
That's right.
This is Michelle.
And this is Josh.
And this is the podcast.
Called?
Hey, we just saw a movie.
That's right.
Yeah. I promise we won't talk about a bunch of people dying the whole episode.
No, but we will talk about you going to Apple and subscribing if you haven't already. I've seen people in Italy dabbling with the podcast, seen people in some other countries dabbling with the podcast. So if you've dabbled before and you want to put a ring on it, go over there, subscribe, or Spotify, wherever. Leave a review. I don't care what kind of review. Be like, man, Josh sounds sexy. But I'm like, hey, I'm married, but I can't respond to you on the reviews, but, you know, it's still a review.
Give us some stars.
Yeah. Yeah. Stars in the sky.
Or however, stars is pretty much how things are rated now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
5. Yeah.
You
5
don't give
stars.
like bars.
Everything's stars. It's like Michelin stars. Yeah, it's always kind of been stars.
Yeah. Okay.
Or popcorn was what they do, but it's essentially stars. They were just trying to be cute.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we've got the popularity contest over.
Oh, hey. Also, another thing people can do. Tell people if you like our podcast.
Oh, yeah. That
get your friends in on it.
That helps us see like that people are liking this.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes little Joshy, little Shelly gets sad and we think, oh, we endure. We okay. We'll get more into the sadness later, but you know, sometimes it's good to know that more people may be listening. We appreciate the people that are listening.
We do. You know, we love our listeners, whoever you are.
We're not trying to be no true crime podcast, but
no,
you know, we're just we'd love to get the word out.
We'd like to get the numbers up.
We want people to. If you're loving this, to have others love it too. You know?
Yeah. Let us know we're not just talking to ourselves.
Yeah. That's good.
Be good. All right.
So, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Mm-hmm. Physical therapy.
That's right.
Physical
not
therapy.
Psychological, not yet.
Not yet. Might need it.
Might.
We'll see. It's very, very frustrating to not be able to touch your thumb to your pinky. But to try.
That's true.
And try, but it just doesn't work.
If you don't succeed,
dust yourself off and try again.
Picky.
That's what I'll start singing to myself. I'll blast that when I do PT. You'll always know when I'm working on my PTs. I'll be blasting that song.
That's the way.
It'll get me through. I have
way.
been. Oh, well, speaking of therapy, though, I did start using the meditation apps.
Yeah.
If you're in Los Angeles, you can get a free, you have to be in Los Angeles County. You can get a free account with the mindfulness app. In case you need it, it's got some good meditations, and it even, for me, I looked up pain management, and I have a British guy talking me through meditation on pain management.
He's like, you like cream in your tea?
Yeah. So, and then also if you are with Kaiser Permanente, you can get a free Calm app account.
Permanente.
Which is, I like Calm is like the music and stuff like that. Like put on the rain sounds and fall asleep. That kind of thing. To make you calm.
Yeah. I refuse to do it because I'm a tortured soul.
Yeah, he won't. He won't do it. I tell him it's helpful.
That's right.
He refuses.
You can't control me.
Yeah. But it's good, y'all. So that's just my little PSA. Spread the word in case you are in the LA area and your head needs some help.
The last 2 minutes brought to you by Free Stuff.
Yeah.
Free Stuff because we're cheap.
Hey, Calm and Mindfulness, if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. That's pretty much what I've been up to. Oh, yeah. Watching the Great British,
British,
what is
the
it?
Great
The
Quidditch
Great
Bake Off.
British Baking Show.
Bacon.
So I now fight my weird thing that I just immediately start mimicking accents.
Mm-hmm.
So when I watch a lot of British shows, my inner monologue becomes British and then it tries to get out.
All right, governor.
Yeah. So I have to suppress that. So I don't. Well, I'm just talking to you really because where am I going? But
That's right.
yeah. So anyway, it comes
Where
out.
are you
I
going?
get a little bit of weird accents. So
Where do we go from here?
yeah.
I
What
know
have
I'm
you
not
been
the
up
only
to?
one. A lot. I've been following every working and then like taking 2 minutes to try to see if there was anything new with the election, and then going back to work, and then like 45 minutes later being like, is there any other information? And they were just like, we speculate that speculations of speculations. If you look at the percentage of the
Oh my
of the
goodness.
breakdown of the by 100s of tens of four, then you'll see that more than likely there is a high probability with a chance of meatballs that this will happen. And I'm like, okay, so who won?
This is why I was actively avoiding all that until somebody just came out and said he won. Okay, well, that's a bit of a lie because I think around Friday I did start
You
checking
started
occasionally.
no, because you kept arguing with me about the number, the count.
You argued with me.
It's 250.
I
know,
say-
but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're the one who's
I knew
saying
the
that
number.
you weren't.
Yeah.
No, but the number you were talking about was different from the one that I saw.
Okay,
We were looking at
I know
different.
we were looking at different reporting.
publications
I
or
was looking at the
whatever.
AP.
Yeah.
So
I was looking at like AP, CNN.
you were looking at everything.
USA Today.
All these weird charts.
There was a homeless guy on the street. He was like, Biden's up by 4. You know.
Biden's got 452.
I don't know why somebody has a Texas accent in California,
Why not?
but it's possible.
Yeah, we do. I do sometimes.
I was gonna say I have a little twang here and there.
Anyway, I was ignoring all that for the most part this week,
Mhm.
and then woke up Saturday, and then I was just minding my business, and I kept hearing all these
I was just
honking,
minding my business.
honking, and screaming, and I was like, "Oh, there's a parade or something going down the street." And then come to find out, it's because
Oh, you didn't get it through the text?
Biden won.
I woke up and my cousin, we have a family thread, and my cousin was like, he won.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I think I wasn't looking at my phone. I was just doing my thing.
You were living life.
Yeah,
Off
probably
the grid.
doing PT.
Probably.
It's like my full-time job.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
So
But
yay,
I wasn't
Biden.
really worried about it per se. I
Were
was
you?
was worried about it, but I was saying like I wasn't like I was just kind of like, hey, I would like to, it's kind of like when you order a pizza and you like ordered the pizza at the restaurant and you're kind of like, are they done with my pizza? Like, should I go check
Right.
because it's just sitting
Is
there
it more
getting
of
cold?
this? Is you were anticipating the potential of being highly disappointed and angry and sad, and you were kind of anticipating that feeling and just waiting to know when that wasn't going to happen?
I was kind of waiting more so of like when, it was kind of like when am I going to be pissed off
Right.
or when am I going to be happy? And just like let me know.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Jon Stewart said, when are we going to know when we're going to know when we're going to know?
Right. So yeah, it wasn't like a huge thing. Like I had already reserved myself to a Trump win. Like as we talk about the subject of the movie we're going to talk about, I kind of err on the side of sadness. So I'm always ready for disappointment. I'm always prepared for that. So I was totally reserved and like, all right, cool. This goes south. Like I know what my plan of action is over the next 4 years. But I wasn't really like, if for one, I feel too privileged, not like in a pompous way. I feel too privileged to be that like off put by it. I've had a successful life throughout every president since I've been an adult. It didn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat. I've pretty much done well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really affected me like financially or like the way that certain people's like the presidential election or state elections and things like that have drastically changed people's incomes and
But there's always
ability
the yet.
to job. There's the yet, but the thing is that, I think in the current situation standing I'm in, that's not probable in the foreseeable future. And if it did, hopefully we've already like have a
Is that
parachute.
where we knock on wood? Is that
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I'm not saying nothing is possible. Like I said, I err on the side
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
failure.
yeah.
But it's kind of like hopefully you have a big enough parachute if that does happen. And that's always my goal, is to have a big enough parachute. So if anything goes south, I'm at least like, okay, well, at least we have this and that set up. So what I'm trying to say is I'm running drugs on the side.
No. Don't say that.
Don't say that. Why not?
I don't
We're
know.
running drugs on the side. This podcast is a front. All the money we're making on this podcast is being laundered.
All the money.
Yeah, all the money is being laundered
Mm,
through the podcast from our drug operation. We're washing dollar bills too.
right. Yo.
But yeah, the other thing, Michelle's heard the story too many times, but I had a wonderful conversation with Allison Brie.
Oh, yes.
Due
Ooh.
to
Celebrity convo.
Celebrity Convo, new subject.
What were you
It'll happen every like 93
Yeah.
episodes. I'll have a
Yeah.
celebrity conversation.
I have
thing.
FOMO.
Yeah.
Wait, is it FOMO or is it just
feeling
jealousy?
feeling of being left out. You could have possibly
It's the
gone
fear
with
of
me.
missing out.
Missing out.
I
Yeah.
just did miss out. Is the deal?
Yeah, you now
There was no
fear
fear
that
of it.
you have fear that
I
you
did
miss out.
So that was
Michelle
kind of a
can't
bummer.
ride. I haven't ridden much, but I've been telling myself like I need to go ride by myself. I feel bad about riding. I'm not used to riding by myself every time, so it's just kind of like a bummer. And
Do you miss me?
I miss riding with you. It's fun.
Aw.
It's like I get to talk to somebody and ride, and
Yeah, it was our fun little hobby to do together.
It's one of
Adventure
the-
hobby.
it's one of the, besides like once we got to a good point with the gym, it was one of the only things that we could do together that's like pretty like standard, easy. There's no like, well, I like to do this or I don't want to do that or blah blah blah. We're
Right.
just like, hey, cool. It's the together independence. But so I went to ride. I rode around. Actually, no, I usually go up the hill, the Hollywood Hills, because there's less cars up there. So I went up the hill, and I'm listening to my music, and this lady's like walking, and I'm like, cool, whatever. And then she turns around, and usually people are like, what is that thing or whatever. So usually I don't even take my headphones out. I just go, oh, hey, or I go, oh, it's a one wheel. So I don't even know what they're saying most of the time. I just go like, hi, it's a one wheel, and just ride, because I don't want to answer those questions, because you got to like stop the board and hop off. And I was at like I don't know what the grade is. It's very steep.
Were
I'm
you?
not
Did you
stopping.
stop on that really steep hill?
Yeah, it's a steep hill.
Oh, okay, yeah. You can't stop there.
So yeah. So I'm riding, and then since Michelle's fallen, like I'm not trying to really like be boss with anything. I was just kind of climbing up slowly. And so I was going slow enough to where she turns around and I'm kind of like, oh, okay. But then she takes off her mask, and I'm like, oh, what is this lady talking about? And she takes off her mask, and I was like, that's Allison Brie. What's going on here? So I take out my headphone, and I'm going slow. So she was like, I was wondering what that sound was behind me. It was like making this like, grinding noise. And I'm like, yeah, it's, this thing's pretty powerful. She's like, I know, it's crazy they can go up this hill. It's like, yeah, the first time I did it, I didn't know if it was going to work. And that's how slow I was going. And then she goes, well, this is really cool. And I was like, yeah, it's a one wheel. It's a cool thing. And so then she was like, oh, okay, well, something. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I rode off, and then I was going to tell Michelle about it. So I got my phone out and was going to message her. And then I was thinking, you just had a nice human conversation with her for about 45 seconds. That should be good enough. And, because I like talking I meet celebrities here and there of different, levels or whatever. And I just like talking to people. And so it's good when you talk to a celebrity and there's no like, oh my goodness, blah, 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 or, them being treated like some sort of weird object.
Right.
And so I was like, we had a human connection moment, just like you do with anybody at the bank or whatever. But then I was like, you know what? Glow was canceled due to the stupid coronavirus. And I'm also a creator, and I like when people tell me they liked what I did. And so I turned back around, went down the hill a little bit, and then was just like, I stopped, and she was like, oh, she was kind of like, oh. She took out her headbuds, earphones, and was like, I was like, hey, we had a great human moment right there with talking, but I just wanted to let you know, like, I know who you are from television, and I just wanted to say that I really like your work and what you do. And she's like, oh, thank you, like just how she does in Community. And so she's not acting; she's being her real self. And I was like, I'm sorry about Glow, and she's like, oh, thanks. And then so we started talking about the one wheel, and I was like, kind of mentioning how Michelle, she broke her arm, and we ride together. And she's like, oh, do you live in there? I was like, yeah, right down the hill. And she's like, oh, cool. She's like, something. I was like, all right, well, nice to meet you. And she's like, all right, have a good one. And that was the
Wait,
whole
you
conversation.
forgot. She wished me well.
She did. I think so. I'm pretty sure.
You told me she did.
I think so. I have it all on tape, but it's all in
Which
time
isn't
lapse.
as weird as it sounds. He just rides with the
I ride with the GoPro.
GoPro going. Yeah.
So I have it on time lapse. I shared a picture with my people at work, but I didn't share one publicly because I kind of feel like, I think that's kind of, I don't know if it's real or not, but I always feel like it's just kind of not rude, but just kind of weird to
a
just
little
be
bit.
like,
Yeah.
hey, I saw this person and they didn't know. I told her I record, but to be like, hey, I took a picture with them kind of without their consent or whatever, because I don't know where she lives.
Right.
And I don't want to contribute to some sort of stalker person
Right.
being like, oh, that's the missing piece. So,
Now I know.
but yeah, so that was cool. And yeah, just working. We had fun happy hour on Friday, getting to know people that I don't know so well.
Virtual happy hour,
That's right.
as they say. Zoom happy hour.
Right, yeah. Well, it's been 16 minutes. So should we just jump
We
into
should
it?
get two things, and I just
yapped
realized
for too long.
we never said what movie we watched.
That's right.
But if you clicked on the title, but if it rolled right into this episode,
That's right.
what did we watch?
We watched The King of Staten Island.
Who is the king?
The king is Pete Holmes. Wait, Pete Davidson. No, I also met Pete Holmes. But yeah, Pete Davidson.
Name drop.
That's guys. He was very cool too.
He was cool.
We just talked. It was before crashing happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I saw that poster. I was like, good luck, man.
All right, so we're not gonna do what we've been watching. We're watching the same stuff we've been watching.
Yeah.
That's
Good
all.
Girls, all that stuff.
Well, actually, this past week we've
Here
been
comes Michelle
no
with their story.
no the last week election. That's what you've been watching.
That's what I've been watching.
Yeah. So okay, jumping into the movie. Here is the IMDb. More than two sentences.
What?
No. Sorry, more than one sentence.
More
movie
than one
description. Are we ready?
Sentences on my
What song is that supposed to be?
Emotion? What's that group?
What?
More Than Words.
Sing. Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all.
That's what I just sung.
But you said more. It didn't sound right.
I said it in the words
I'm just
that
saying.
you just said.
It didn't sound right.
Yeah, it sounded right. Don't test me.
Okay.
I had to tailor it to your words.
Okay. Now we're doing the thing. IMDb.
We're doing it.
IMDb says
Okay.
Scott has been Wait, what?
Huh?
Oh, sorry.
Michelle can't read.
I haven't read this yet. It just sounded weird. Okay, sorry. Starting over. That was me rewinding.
Yeah, I'm not editing that out.
Okay. Scott has been a case of arrested development since his firefighter dad died. He spends his days smoking weed and dreaming of being a tattoo artist until events force him to grapple with his grief and take his first steps forward in life. Well done.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
There you go.
That's the movie in two sentences.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, bye. We're done. No
That's
podcast.
what the 2 hours are in 45 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Not even 45 seconds.
Whatever.
Anyway.
Whatever.
Right. Jump in.
Jump in where?
Did we like the movie?
That Pete was thrown in?
We can just start there. What'd you think?
What did I think? I thought the movie was good. You know, Judd Apatow movies are Judd Apatow movies. Like, you either like them or you don't. They're much like Steve Suso guy. The guy who was every shot is framed like perfectly. What's that guy's name?
Don't know. Don't know who we're talking about.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Did you say? Yeah. Does it start with a W?
Wachowski?
What?
The Wachowski sisters. We all know. Royal Tenenbaums.
The colorful ones.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. You either like it or you don't. It does what it does. It's like Alien. It's like, we all know what's going to happen. People are going to take their masks off, stick their head in pods, get a xenomorph on their face. So his movies are kind of long.
Okay, yeah. That's definitely a feature of.
But they've
got heart.
They've got heart and humanity. It's almost like you gave an indie filmmaker a really big budget and everybody kind of knows his name.
Yeah.
Is what I feel like a lot of Apatow films are. And so, yeah, it's like if you've seen This Is 40, you've seen the other one with Adam Sandler and all that. It's the same type of thing. Somebody is going through a huge problem in their life. They think their life is over or whatever. They don't know what to do. And then people kind of guide them along to get them to a point where they're going to like make it through. But it's always at these, like I said, arrested development points of crisis. I've turned 40. My career is failing. I'm living with my mom and I have no like aspirations. Well, he has aspirations in life. He just doesn't know how to manifest them. So it's just, it's another Apatow movie, but I liked it.
I liked it too.
It's, yeah.
Wes Anderson.
There we go.
That was going to bother me. I had to find it.
Westerson.
Yeah. I like this movie a lot. It did feel tad long. But I feel like that's my really only complaint about the movie. It's just I felt a little bit restless. I don't know. But yeah, it had all the heart. It had Pete Davidson doing Pete Davidson. Really?
Pete doing Pete.
Yeah, I think all the casting was great.
I mean, Pete doing Scott.
But yeah, it was a lot like you were saying, like a lot of humanity, a lot of heart. In the movie, which we'll get into all of that, I'm sure, as we talk further about it. Can I tell you some things I learned?
What did you learn
about the movie?
What did you learn about the movie?
Obviously, well, not obviously, but in case you didn't know, this movie was in part based on Pete Davidson's life.
Right.
And the real death of his firefighter father.
You know one thing also? This wasn't filmed in Staten Island. British Columbia. They rebuilt Staten Island in British Columbia.
That would be a travesty.
Vancouver looks just like Staten Island.
Lies. This was filmed in Staten Island and New York.
They demolished Stanley Island and made it Staten Island.
Okay.
Another travesty against the native people.
Yeah.
Of British Columbia.
Okay. Well, as I was saying, in part based on his life.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the part I didn't know, is that it's what his life might have been if he hadn't become a comedian.
Comedy saved his life.
Yeah. So, well, not that he's like dying in the movie, but I mean, obviously he's definitely struggling.
Well, I look, I would rather be the real Pete Davidson than that Pete Davidson.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, true. Okay.
I'm not attracted to Ariana Grande, but I'm sure there were a lot of great meals he ate.
Every time I saw the little heart, the heart behind his ear, in the movie, I think that was the Ariana Grande tattoo.
Yeah,
they fixed it. But I kept thinking, oh. Okay. Also, it debuted, it was supposed to come out at Sundance.
Oh, right.
No, not Sundance.
One of them.
What's the festivals? But obviously COVID. Thank you, COVID. Thanks. Suck. So anyway, it came out later. It came out in the summer, I believe. So I was wondering, I was like, oh, it's a shame because it's a really great film. I'm sad that it didn't get the big box office release that it really deserved. But it did okay. It did pretty okay.
The box office.
Yeah, it did pretty okay. So it was the most rented movie when it came out. The most rented movie on Fandango, Amazon, iTunes, Apple, Vudu, Google, YouTube, and more. And that lasted for weeks. It was the number one movie. And then it dropped to like number 2 for a little while longer. So at the time of when this Wikipedia page reported, it had made $40 million just through on-demand rentals.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It's good.
So overall, it's the 7th most rented movie during the pandemic.
Wow. This time's gonna be really weird because, like, how do you like at the whenever I don't know when people's fiscal years end for movie studios, but how do you make sense of this? How do you do like projections and how do you
Right. You
look
can't.
at the year? Because it's like, yeah, we like Bond right now. I don't even know Wonder Woman and Bond. They spent so much money. I'm sure. Like, remember that we saw Wonder Woman toys that had already been shipped
Mm,
already. So it was like Wonder Woman 84 coming in May. It was like Wonder Woman hasn't even come out.
right.
So
Just got to put all
all
that
the
in
money
storage.
is just like no, it's already shipped. That's what I'm saying. Like we were in the store. So it's like all that money has
Oh,
been
yeah.
blasted through and now the marketing is totally jacked. And so it's like how do you like
Well, they're going to have to do it all again. You're
that's
going to have to do like
true.
a round 2 of
But
a
I'm saying like
blitz,
even
which
just the
is
the fiscal
doubling.
loss, you're like,
Yeah.
so we lost $4.3 billion, and how
Yeah.
do we gain that back? And does that mean the movie sucked? I think that's the biggest thing. How do you find out if a movie sucked for real?
Right. Or if people just really didn't
Right.
hear about it and they didn't rent it.
Because it's
Like
yeah,
I
it's
don't want to watch
unprecedented.
Wonder Woman video on demand. I want to watch Wonder Woman in Dolby at
Yeah.
AMC.
Right.
So that's, like I don't know that I would rent that movie. King of Staten Island, I don't need to be in a Dolby theater to
Right.
watch that. Yeah, that's a perfectly fine
I
sitting
can
on my
watch it on
couch
my phone.
for
Good.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just prop, shift your body weight,
Yeah.
prop more. So, um,
So,
yeah, like I thought it had a lot of layers, interesting enough, and it managed pretty well at working those layers because you had Scott and his childhood friend that he started sleeping with. You had Scott and his mom. You had Scott and Bill's character, whatever his name was. Dan? Dave?
Ray.
Ray? There we go. You had Ray. You had Scott and his friends. And then you had relationships inside of there. And I felt like they were all somewhat summed up at the end, which many movies do a horrible job at. And they all moved forward in some sort of way.
Uh-huh.
Like it wasn't just like, hey, this is my friend Jake. And like, hey, Jake. And then we're like, what happened to Jake? Like halfway through the movie, you're like, what happened to Jake? And they're like, oh, wait, we never saw Jake again. What was the point of him being here? So every single character had a function. And then they finished all of their functions, which I think to me is really important in a movie. Like when we saw the house and the daughter in the house was like she was like a hollow shell of a character almost. She was a
Oh, the
she
casino
was a
movie.
device essentially. She was a device for the children, kind of like The Simpsons. They're like,
She was
hey,
just the catalyst.
right? They're like,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna go to a chili cook-off. They go to the chili cook-off, and he's like, it sounds like it's gonna be the whole episode. It's like this is the most important thing, and then we find out that Homer has like bad gas, and then the episode's about him like
Right.
finding out how not to fart in public, and you're like, oh well, that was not what I thought this episode was gonna be. So they didn't do that. They gave us all the details
All
on
the
all the people.
info.
So I thought that was cool.
So can I tell you this?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize this until I was reading an article, which I don't know why I didn't put this together. But Pete's character was Scott.
Mm-hmm.
That's his dad's name.
Oh, and that's also
Which of course the movie was dedicated to his dad.
that's also the other guy's name. He was in the beginning and the end. His music. Why am I?
Okay,
Kid
so
Cudi.
Kid Cudi, I have
And
a thing
Scott.
on that.
Kid Cudi also has had depression and a bunch of
That
issues.
is the very reason Pete Davidson made sure that the film began and ended
Right.
with a Kid Cudi song because Kid Cudi has been vocal about dealing with
Mm-hmm.
mental health issues.
Kids see ghosts sometimes.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
That's very thoughtful. Like that's how that shows you how much this movie, like Pete being able to tell these stories and like really put this out there, like how
Mhm.
much thought he put into it and how much it meant to him
Right.
too.
Yeah.
That's a lot of thought.
My assumption was that like they talked when he was going through his dark period, and Scott was like, "Hey, man, I heard you're going through something. Obviously, I have. if you need somebody to talk to that kind of has gone through the things you've gone through. But I don't know if that
I
actually
don't know.
happened.
Maybe.
That was
maybe
just my
not.
assumption.
Yeah. It could just be one of those, like, when people say that artists really speak to them,
Right.
it could just be that.
Yeah.
Like,
Good.
Yeah. Because, it's important to see people, like especially with mental health issues and when you're dealing with anything huge or whatever, it's,
Right.
Knowing that there's people out there who are producing things that mean a lot to you and they've been through it, it's like good to see yourself out there,
Right.
like seeing people succeed or seeing people help other people, which also he does have Crohn's disease, which is why he included that in the movie, because that's a piece of him and he wanted to put out there, which in the line in the movie he says, Bill Burr's character says, man, maybe just next time, because the firefighter offers him a hot dog and he's like, nah, man, I got Crohn's disease. He's like, what's that? And he goes, it makes me poop myself all the time, or poop all the time.
Right.
So Ray says, hey, maybe next time just say, you don't want a hot dog. And he said, well, I'm just trying to
bring awareness.
Yeah, bring awareness. That was his little PSA he slipped into his movie.
I think it's kind of like, I've known that, but him just saying that, like, in that short answer is like, wow, that's like having intestinal menstruation, which is like really bad because I don't know, I forgot how long your intestines are. I don't know how much of it the lining sheds, but if it's the whole lining of your
it doesn't sound pleasant.
I'm like, wow,
that's for sure.
And I think it reminds me of Nirvana's Pennyroyal Tea, where he talks about all the different things that he had to physically deal with throughout his life. And sometimes you wonder, like, why is this person so cranky? Or why is this person so depressed? Or why is this person always bailing? Or why is this person always blah, blah, blah? And some of the times it's just the person has a horrible existence, or what they feel like is a horrible existence. It's like,
Right. They just have a rough time of it.
Like for me, when I was dealing with echolalia, really heavy, I wasn't fun, happy most of the time. I was just like, let's just get through this thing so I can go back and sit on the couch. And then now it's not like, oh yeah, I want to read a book. Like, I don't have the greatest of vision, so I'm not like excited, we were reading How to Be an Anti-Racist at work, and I'm like, I don't want to read this book. Freaking, I should have bought the audio book. Like, my eyes are catching on fire trying to focus. So, I think that's an important thing for him to point out is, and I think it was also nice that the movie showed him he was like a victim of a circumstance, but also he didn't handle it well, but also he was doing the best he could, but also he was a jerk.
Right.
It was just like, you can be all of these
all
things.
of those things.
Like, I remember people were like, oh, Colin Kaepernick, this, that, and the other. He's not even a great football player, and he's an idiot. And I'm like, but can't idiots also say wise things? Like, if Colin Kaepernick is an idiot, and let's say he sucks at football, can he still be right about police brutality?
Right.
I would never, as far as I know, I've never taken someone in their totality as something when they have, a specific bit of knowledge. There's people that I think are complete idiots in a lot of different ways that I've met, but they've said things to me that have been very profound. And I take that as like, wow, that's great. And I think, especially in movies, they make people out to be either geniuses or idiots. And you can be a smart idiot. You
can be a layered person.
You can be a horrible, beautiful person. I'm sure a bunch of people thought Hitler was nice. I bet you. Like,
well, I'm sure.
That picture with him and that little girl, if you just showed somebody with no context, like, who's this guy? Looks like a nice guy with a little girl. But make that a Jewish girl or a black girl, he probably wouldn't be smiling. But it's just all context.
So anyway, Pete Davidson.
What, you're afraid of me making an example?
No, it's just funny when somehow Hitler works its way into things.
Hitler always works his way into things.
No, but Crohn's disease, that's why Pete Davidson, he has the circles under his eyes, the giant circles. Yeah, that's from the Crohn's. Sense. And he used to get bullied about it. So these were like all the reasons like he felt it important to talk about.
It is interesting because sometimes, the circles are more noticeable than others. Like when I see them on SNL,
Yeah,
and I'm
sometimes
sure
they're
it's just
really
like,
dark.
yeah, it's just probably just like ebbs and flows and
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
I was just chalked it up to him just being super thin.
I did too. Yeah.
I thought it was super thin and then like drugs. It's like one of the two of those
But the
possibly. But
Crohn's
Crohn's also
depression, it could be why he
all
smokes so much weed.
yeah, a cajillion different reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is also interesting. Yeah, like self medicating um, under an illness. You know, it would be an interesting thing to look into how many people have addiction because they have to self medicate because they don't know, they're not educated, or they don't have the funds, or doctors suck and don't want to diagnose you properly, so you have to self medicate. So that would be interesting.
Well, that's all the little facts I have.
The facts of
well,
life.
except for that, they did cast real firefighters.
They did.
Obviously, the actors, the actors we knew were not firefighters.
No, Steve Buscemi was a firefighter.
That's true. Previously.
Previously on Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. But then I'm guessing like the other people in the firehouse were real firefighters.
That one guy, what did he say?
That really buff dude?
No.
In the bathroom?
That guy was funny.
He seems like
he was for sure a plant.
Yeah, he seems like a real firefighter.
I'm like, I don't know. He could have been. The thing is he's muscular.
The way he delivered the line.
But I'm saying muscular
like,
dudes
that guy's
who
not
mainly,
an actor.
But I'm saying like he could have been Mr. Universe. Like, what's the difference between a muscular firefighter and Mr. Universe? Hey, I just wanted to let you know that your dad was a really nice guy.
He delivered that line like athletes are on SNL. Like,
oh my goodness,
you know, they never do well. But no, he was fine though. He just thank you for your service.
I can't remember who that actor is. Did you ever look him up? The
Which
dude
one?
who said, "I'm not a whole generation. I'm just one man with feelings."
Oh yeah, who was that guy?
That was a great quote. I feel like that sometimes. For myself or other people, and like, see, that's why this group, blah 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 blah. Like, can I just be one person? Can I just be Josh and not be all these other things? I think I think, you know, obviously he's from Staten Island, so he knows what the deal is. But I think New York and a lot of other cities have this in common. But I think the beginning of the movie set up like what the vibe is in Staten Island and what like a New York kind of vibe or small, I guess a loyal town, East Coast town lifestyle is. Because it was like, that kid was like, hey, can I get 6 Xanax? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, wait, aren't you so-and-so's brother? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I hate that guy. He's like, so I'm going to give you 4. You still pay me for 6. He's like, that's just my brother. Like, I have no connection. He's like, no. You're related to him. I don't want to.
You look like a mini him, so I want to punch you in the face.
So it was just like this kind of loyalty between crews and between families.
Which
and
is funny because
rivalries that go like generations in.
When so in that scene, they're in the basement and they're all, I don't know what they were doing. And that kid shows up at the window. And so they're heckling this kid and they're like, give me your shoes. He's like, I only have $40. And I'm like, well, then give me your shoes. And then Pete Scott stands up and I thought, oh, he's gonna like defend this kid, right? And then he's like, yeah, kid, what size of shoes are you? And I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is how they all roll. I was like, oh, this is how that goes.
Yeah. And I think the funny thing also was, which I miss, is basements. But then when you have the basement, like kind of, it's a window, but it's more of like kind of airing out the basement in a way. Like the kid was just kind of like, you know, he's laying on the ground trying to talk to them, and they're like in a basement, like 5 feet below.
Right.
But I used to sneak into my house through those things because my mom would be like, don't forget your keys. I'm going to work. And I'm like, totally. I'm not forgetting my keys. And then, oh, no. My mom would drop me off. I can't remember. But I would forget my keys or lose my keys. And then I would have to shimmy through that tiny little window. And what I would do is there was, I think there was a clothes drying rack. And then off to the right was the dryer. So what I would do is shimmy myself in hands first. And then kind of like grab the dryer rack and then kind of fall onto the dryer or something. And sometimes there was a stack of clothes, so I would just fall into the clothes. But I could have like broke my neck or arms, but you know, I
think
did.
It's so funny to picture little lanky Josh.
I had a little belly.
Yeah, but your arms and legs are so skinny.
True.
Little lanky Josh crawling through the window, catapulting himself into the
Right
basement.
into the basement. That was me.
Yeah.
Um,
So, okay, well, since you're talking about you in New York, I can't remember, probably Pete Davidson said it, that Staten Island's the only place that Jersey looks down on.
probably.
So as a kid, did you know that Staten Island, or like, what, did you
did
have
you
any?
know Staten Island exists?
Yeah, did you? Well, it seems to be such a big joke. Like, it's a thing that
Staten Island, just like I was saying, many characters in videos in movies are just a vehicle. Staten Island was a vehicle to South Jersey. Like if you and
Okay, so you
South
just
Jersey
passed
was a
through?
vehicle to get to Philly or to Washington D.C. So it was just like I don't want to go through Hoboken and all that stuff through the George Washington Bridge, and then because you had to pay for that. I think you had to pay for that, whatever that bridge is on Staten Island. But it was cheaper to go through the Verrazano and then go through the other bridge on the other end of Staten Island.
So did you know though, as a kid, that Staten Island had such a reputation? Like that
Yeah,
Staten Island sucked, I guess.
everybody hated Staten Island.
Okay, why?
Just cause.
Why?
That's what I'm saying. Like this whole thing just runs deep. Like they said, like I hate your brother. It was just a thing. It was like everybody.
I need you to do one of your deep dive history Wikipedia things.
On why everybody hates
Find
Staten
out
Island.
where that began.
Well, first of all, Staten Island isn't connected to anything. It was the
Right.
last island connected. So it was like the stepchild.
Okay.
So you had.
Can we say that anymore?
You could say that. I didn't say redheaded stepchild. I said stepchild. Come on, give me some slack. But that's what everybody still watches Cinderella. Nobody.
Okay, all right.
There's no thing at the beginning saying, "We just want to let you know that stepchildren are loved by all. This is just a metaphor
all right,
for."
all right.
So
Okay.
you have Manhattan, which is a power city.
The full child.
So Manhattan, it doesn't matter if Manhattan is separated by everybody by water. They are the power.
Mm-hmm.
But you have Queens and you have Brooklyn, which are great boroughs, and they're also like they were originally kind of like suburbs and whatnot. And then you have the Bronx, which I don't know. I never went to the Bronx except for like 8 times. So you have the Bronx, but the Bronx was tough, and everybody respected the Bronx, and hip hop came out of the Bronx. So you have that, and they all were connected by ferries at first, but then the bridges got connected, and then the Verrazano didn't happen until 63, 68.
So Verrazano connected to Staten Island.
Connected to Staten Island. So Staten Island was just kind of by themselves, so they became their own, it's like the Sentinelese people. They had their own culture, or they didn't get all the advanced,
Right.
like, hey, let's just drive over to Manhattan.
So Staten
they
Island-
don't have a subway either. So they have
Right.
there's no like, oh,
So they
I got a
weren't-
boyfriend in Brooklyn, I had a girlfriend in Manhattan. That's
So the
just it.
Verrazano goes from
Brooklyn
Brooklyn to Staten
to
Island.
Staten Island.
Where was it? It had to be connected to something.
Nothing. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
like you could only do a ferry. It didn't
Yeah.
even go to Jersey, or
the
it had
ferry
no.
went to Jersey. Yeah,
No, I mean it had 0 bridges. It was just an island,
no bridges.
like Catalina.
That's what I'm saying. It was an island. That's what I'm
Oh.
telling you. Like it wasn't connected to anything.
Yeah,
And that's why I think
All
Staten
right.
Island is kind of like
its own thing.
considered trash, is because no one had a relationship with it.
Okay, I guess
there
that's
was
where-
just stories like
Right. All right. So it
And
was
then-
like a yeah, like you're saying, like stories and
right. And
old,
then you develop your own pride because everybody is trashing on you. You're like, well, we're Staten Island, like we're this, we're that, we
Right.
got this, blah blah blah, and then so it becomes this rivalry of 4 boroughs versus 1.
that's
and that's
so
kind of-
weird. So funny.
Yeah, it was just like Jersey, Staten Island.
Okay.
Those were the butts of all
Well,
jokes.
All right, so that brings me to Kelsey was one of the characters in the
Mhm.
movie, which ends up in the beginning of the movie we meet her. They're all hanging out in the basement or wherever they're watching some crazy movie, and she was talking about this, like how Staten Island is so great, but they were talking about like why can't we be like a Brooklyn? Why can't all these trendy
Yeah.
neighborhoods that people love and respect. And so
Right.
anyway, so her whole mission in life was to make Staten Island like of a Brooklyn status.
Right.
Like she wanted people she wanted people to know how amazing Staten Island was, and she wanted it to have a great reputation. So she
That's-
was going to go to school and become like a city planner or something and make Staten Island amazing.
Right. And that's impossible. Look, I'm not hating on Staten Island. It's just I'm saying infrastructure wise, it's impossible. You have you either can get there by car or by boat.
Okay.
And then once you get there, you have to take the bus. Like
Hey, if they've got some unicorn bagels or amazing
But
4-story cronuts, people will
so
go.
so she's saying she wants to gentrify Staten Island. Is what she's saying. That's the only way to do it. You have to
Yeah, I
gentrify
don't
Staten
know.
Island,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, she probably should look at how all these neighborhoods came up
because
and what
think
happened.
about what makes New York unique. Besides unique New York, I did it backwards. That's
Yeah,
funny. Instead of
yeah.
unique New York, I did New
New
York
York.
unique.
Yeah, that's hard.
Say that 5 times fast, then flip it to
Or just
unique
say
New
it
York.
twice.
But what makes all the boroughs unique, and actually, Bronx is not heavily. Bronx has lines, but not as many as the other boroughs. But what makes it unique is that ability to 42nd Street and then show up J Street Borough Hall, then show up,
I mean, Staten Island definitely has a disadvantage.
you
It's
you
not
just
connected.
you can't just quickly just
Yeah.
hop and run around. So, and then I'm sure that it's more of a car culture. I've only spent, I think, and that was really until the 21st century that I went to Staten Island. I only spent, I think, on the base with my brother. I was there like 5-6 days total, and it was only on the base. We went to one bar, so I've spent 6-7 days in Staten Island, and I would very much assume it's a car culture,
I would think so.
which is kind of like
I mean,
LA.
Pete
Like you
walked
can't,
everywhere in the movie, though.
right? You can't have that same type of lifestyle where everyone's interconnected in that kind of like
Right.
Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens ways.
Right. Right.
If
right.
she could do it,
Yeah.
that's
It was
cool.
a lofty goal.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
why not?
possible.
She had goals.
Maybe.
All right. Well, what do we think of these characters?
I thought that. Yeah, I think they were all.
I know you already said they were all developed and
They
they
were
all
all
had their own.
developed, but I think the great thing about these characters is that they were all. You know me, I love being tricked by movies. Like they were all basic characters that went on paths that I didn't think they would take. Like the like her Kaylee, right? Wasn't it?
Kelsey. Yes.
Kelsey. Is that what the guy called her?
She was he was like I don't remember Kathleen or something, but she was Pete. So in the movie, Kelsey is Pete's
love interest.
Love interest, right. I guess. But in the beginning,
childhood friend.
Yeah, in the beginning, friends with benefits,
right?
Because they're not a couple, but they're sleeping together,
right? So I think what I assumed was going to happen is Pete was going to string her along and string her along and string her along, right? And then maybe he was going to be like, "I love you," and then she's like, "Oh, I'm dumb," but he was like Michelle said, he was kind of like, well, I don't want to make these things weird. And the funny thing is it makes it weird when people are like, I don't want to make this thing weird, and I don't want to commit, and I don't want, it's like all these question marks and then all this weirdness. I'm like, dude, if you're childhood friends with this person and you don't want to ruin the friendship, why are you like halfway working through it's okay if you're sleeping together and you're like, oh, I like you, like, let's take this slow, blah, 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 blah. But if you're just kind of like, I don't know, whatever, it's not really a big deal. Like, I don't want to make things weird, but also I don't want to tell my friends, like, that's making it weird. And I'm like, I like that she just kind of said, like, hey, Scott, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like,
she was like, well, I'm not doing this.
Because she realized that he was not really ready. Like, he told her that, but she was thinking, I don't know what she was thinking. Then she was kind of like, okay, I
think she was holding out hope for a bit and then realized I can't be on pause for this guy.
Right.
Like, he's really not about this.
And a lot of movies don't do that.
Yeah.
A lot of movies, the mainly the woman in the movie, she's like, I'll follow you into a volcano. And it's like, ugh, this is kind of like.
So I really loved all the scenes she was in.
Yeah, she was good.
Like,
we've seen her in something else, so I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I looked her up and she's British. Yep. Belle Powley or Polly? Probably Powley. She's from England. She is known for Diary of a Teenage Girl, Royal Night Out. I really actually don't know.
I've seen her though.
Oh, The Morning Show.
Oh, okay.
That's where we saw her.
She's assistant?
I cannot remember who she was in the movie,
She was
in
an
the
assistant
show.
or something.
Yeah. But
That's
that's how we know her face.
Gotcha.
But also okay, to me, I feel like when I say people look like people, you do not agree. But
That's often the case.
yes, but something about her eyes and like her cheeks made me think of the blonde lady from Mad TV, Nicole Sullivan. Do you agree? No. If she was brunette,
a little bit, but I heard you say that, and I was like, this chick is way too young for Mad TV. It's been off the air
I
way too
know.
long.
She just made me think of Nicole Sullivan for some reason. I think maybe the eyes, 'cause she has big blue eyes, and her cheekbones. I don't know, but
I can kind of see that.
But anyway, so y'all look it up. Let me know if you agree.
I think the Friends. It was funny because I've been thinking about this a lot. You know, I end up talking about Hitler and I talk about race.
Oh my God.
So I've been thinking about this a lot lately. How in a lot of comedies, a lot of the non-black characters act more "quote unquote" black than the black ones because they were like, "Yo, blah blah blah," like you know what it is or whatever. And then the black kid was just like, "Hey man, I don't want to rob this place or whatever." So I was thinking that with SNL, like the last couple of weeks, a lot of the characters that Michael Che is interacting with was like, "I got this thing, man. You know what I'm trying to do, man." And then Michael Che is like, "Okay, like you want to do that? Though sounds good." Like he's just so it's just interesting how like the perception or the 70s-ness of black culture or whatever like has influenced a lot of comedy, but you know it's usually not black people doing that,
Right.
But I thought about that with the Friends, and then there was the black kid with the dreads, the Merce 2006
Oh,
dread
right.
box.
Yeah.
Go on. One giant one on the side.
Yeah. You know what? I did not expect all those friends to end up in jail.
I didn't either. I thought they were just gonna. I thought he was gonna end up in jail. And
I did too. I thought he was gonna end up in jail, and then somehow Bill Burr's character, the firefighter, was somehow gonna get him out of jail, and that's how they ended up him at the firehouse. I don't know, but I didn't expect just randomly they were gonna go rob this store and all end up in jail, and then that was that.
I thought so. That's another thing. Another thing that threw me for a loop. I thought that they were gonna rob the thing. They were gonna get caught because Scott was just out there being weird, and the cops gonna stop him. And then his mom was gonna be like, "What are you doing?" And then Bill's gonna have to teach him how to be a real man or something like that. Like it was going to be a sobering lesson then.
Right.
But then it turns out that
it was like nothing.
No, it wasn't nothing.
No, well, nothing
the owner essentially started shooting at them
Yeah.
incessantly and then shoots one of the guys in the shoulder. And Scott's supposed to be the lookout, but you can't be the lookout when the person that is causing the harm is inside of the building.
Right. What was he supposed to do? And the cop showed up so quick.
Right. And then he just bailed. Which,
right.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Just bail. But
I wonder if that's based on anything specific. It seems so random. It feels like that was maybe based on something. Or maybe that's not how it went down, but maybe he had friends that ended up in jail or something. Like, I don't know.
There were friends that happened.
Yeah.
People will do that. They'll borrow from their friends' stories.
Yeah. Or maybe it was from one of the other writers. So there's two other writers on the movie.
Yeah, you have a writer's room or whatever.
Right. So
or you have a friend. Like
maybe it was Dave Cyrus. Maybe it's a story from his life, whoever Dave Cyrus is.
That reminds me of this dude named Sam that we went to school with who beat this dude to a pulp over allegedly flirting with his girlfriend. And then I never saw Sam again. He went to
bye-bye.
a prison school or something like that. But I don't know. Sam, I'm not going to say your last name because you may have turned your life around and I don't want to bring it up. But I hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
If you somehow listen to this. But I actually saw I think I saw the pictures from that case because I used to work at Eckerd Photo Lab. His head was busted. They showed the stitches and all that.
No.
But yeah, people have weird things happen in their lives, and then some people become writers, and some people become podcasters.
Right. So, the introduction of Bill's character was pretty funny, like how that all connected and how. So on the beach, I could not believe Bill, he was like, "I'm gonna give a 10-year-old a tattoo."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, but the kid was pretty tough though.
He was
a hard one. He'd be like, "Hey,
he was.
What's up?"
No, but he
came in
clearly
He was clearly a child.
a
I know.
child.
But I was like, that's the deepest voice child. He's like, I'm Max or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like,
Okay, this just dawned on me. What crazy things did Pete do in his life, like that would have equated to tattooing a 10-year-old?
Who knows?
I wonder.
Pete seems like Pete's done some crazy things in being a popular person.
Yeah.
So I think being an obscure person, he's
Yeah.
done some pretty crazy
Yeah.
things.
So he was just like, I need to practice tattooing people. Sure, kid. I'll put, what did that kid want? Like Daredevil or somebody? Punisher?
He
was
wanted
Punisher.
Punisher. You know, I just realized we didn't really synopsize the movie too well in our own way.
Well, IMDb did it.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
well, he's hanging out with his friends on the beach. This kid wanders over. Pete is using all of his friends as sketch pads to practice learning how to tattoo, which they're all horrific.
They're all bad.
If you've seen the preview to this movie, you've seen a couple of these tattoos. And the kid wanders up named Harold, which he was very specific. Well, they called him Harry.
Yeah, he goes, we're gonna call you Harry. He's like, no, Harold.
Harold. And then that guy said, I wrote it down. He said, I need this kid in my life. He has structure. So then he's like totally cool with tattooing this 10-year-old kid, which of course the kid only gets through like a line and runs off screaming because it's painful.
But yeah, Bill's character shows up at the house.
Bill ends up being Harold's dad.
Yeah, Marissa Tomei is the Scott's mom, and so he comes up, normal Bill Burr style, like what we love.
Like
what we
half
love
yelling?
Bill for. Yelling and screaming and whatnot.
Not that mustache. What was that mustache?
That's the mustache. He needed a firefighter mustache.
Oh my goodness.
He needed
And
it.
is Bill Burr that bald? He seemed like extra bald.
Yeah, I think it's I thought
he had a
he lost
little
some
hair.
and then he actually might have shaved it down because I think he does have like
I feel like he
some
has a
red,
little
like,
hair. Yeah.
on the sides.
He seemed like extra bald.
So,
but that mustache, I can't.
Yeah, it's a firefighter. Like that's classic firefighter mustache. And so he comes in and like him and Marissa just have this banter and Bill's just killing it, being angry.
So Bill actually said that he was super nervous to work with Marissa Tomei.
Oh.
He was like, she's like an Oscar actress.
Right.
And he said, who am I? I shouldn't be here. I'm nothing. I'm a comedian. What is this? But he's like, after, a little bit, he got comfortable. But at first he said he was super nervous.
And Bill's a great actor.
He is. He's great.
He's like vocally, he can't really be anyone else but Bill. But emotionally, he could be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's calm Bill.
Right.
There's angry loud Bill. There's then just like comedic like argue banter Bill, where he's not like Boston, New York people. We get loud, but we're not mad. So he's got those three things like vocally. But yeah, he has like tons of range and ability. But so they do the whole thing. I can't remember all the nutsoid stuff that he said.
Oh, so this is what I love about movies with comedians in it, is I always sit there watching scenes wondering how much of it was scripted. And like, because they're cracking each other up and it's like a part of the scene, but also I'm like, how much of that is he just laughing because he's like, Pete was surprised at what Bill said. And then he just starts laughing, which is fine because it works.
Like, what do you say? He goes, you did this to my son. And then Scott walks out and he goes, oh crap. He just walks back. And then he's like, tells his son to go wait in the car. He's like, look both ways. Look both ways. But I feel like I don't know if it's a city thing or what, but that was like so huge, like ingrained as a kid. Okay, go to the corner store and blah, 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 but make sure you look both ways. It was like, always look both ways. And then they had a cross on the green, not in between. Cross on the green.
That's definitely a city thing.
That was a PSA.
I did not have that in
New
Wiley,
York.
Texas.
So it was just constantly look both ways, crossing the green, not in between. So I just thought that was hilarious.
It's a good way to say it. Except for crossing the green where they're not.
It depends on where you live.
Walk signs?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
No, there had to have been.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But cross on the green, it
remember,
rhymes.
in Berlin, there's the green walk guy, and then so it's different depending on where you live and what decade you live in. I don't even know. Like New York planes aren't ghetto yellow anymore. Actually, they went back. That's MF Doom.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought that whole setup was funny that they're arguing. He tells her pretty much she's a bad parent
Oh my gosh,
and
he
she
really
needs to
laid
know.
into
Yeah,
her.
he what's wrong with him is like, I don't want to yell at you. Where's the father? And she's
Right.
like, he's deceased. He's like,
Oh. Oh.
and that's why you should be very nice when you talk to people. You don't know what they're going
You
through.
don't know.
They could be having a bad Crohn's day.
Yeah.
And their husband's dead.
Yeah.
Just leave people alone.
Yeah. But it was an interesting character, his character. And he did come back and was like, look, I'm sorry for yelling at you like that. Which, I don't know, when someone tattoos your 10-year-old, you're going to get upset. So maybe he had a little bit of that, but, he didn't have to go so hard.
You don't need to yell at the mom.
Right. So, yeah,
Also,
he should have been yelling right at Pete.
I understand he's a grown man living in this lady's house, but he's also a grown man.
Grown man, right.
You can't be like, your 42-year-old son did this. He's a 42-year-old man.
24.
Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, after a certain amount, you just like.
Pete Davidson, he's only 26.
Yeah. He's young. He's like,
I know, he's super
like
young.
He's like, I think people think just because someone is in the public eye, they have their life together, or they know what to do, or they.
Well, no,
whatever.
sometimes you think people are older than they are, just based on maybe how
true.
They look or what they've been through.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking about what he's been through.
Yeah.
And people are like, he flew into fame.
Right.
Like flew into fame.
Right.
He was just a random guy, and then Lauren is like, hey, you want to be on a show that comes out every week? Sure, why not?
So how he got connected with Judd Apatow? Do you know that?
I think I used to remember.
He got connected. So when Apatow was working on Trainwreck, is that what that was called? With Amy Schumer. That was
a movie.
Yeah. So working on Trainwreck.
His best work, in my opinion.
I did like that movie. So Amy.
Best commercial work. Like, if you were saying like the best commercial movie that Apatow's done, I'd say it's Trainwreck.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's the best movie.
So Apatow was just asking Amy Schumer, like, who's great? Who do I need to know? And she was like, oh my gosh, you need to know Pete Davidson. So Amy Schumer made this connection to Apatow.
The most successful person to come out of Last Comic Standing.
The Schooms.
I think so. Pretty sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to Google it.
Everybody else has probably some people have done well, like in just stand up and different things. But she's definitely the standout person from Last Comic Standing.
Okay. Sure.
What?
No, sure. I was gonna move on. I was just thinking of my transition.
I'll transition. I really enjoyed the scene where. So there's a lot of things in here that I definitely could relate with, and I thought were interesting about a person who is not always like rosy when like other people are rosy and whatever, and a person kind of is like. It takes a lot for them to get excited about a lot of general things. And then the reality of how that takes a toll on other people. So like the relationship with his sister, I thought was really interesting and not something they really go into in a lot of movies. It's usually like the person's depressed or the person has these feelings or whatever. And then people just they kind of write them off or like yell at them only. But she was mainly yelling at him because she was just like, and when she goes, I'm afraid you're going to hurt yourself when I leave. He goes, I probably am. And it was just kind of like this sibling, especially her being a younger sibling, feeling like she needed to take care of her brother.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, not too many, some movies have, but not too many movies really hone in on like the stress that causes for the family members around them. So.
Yeah, I really loved all those scenes with them together. They were kind of like, they were heartbreaking, really. And then I wrote down, oh, he loves his sister. And then I wrote down his sister loves him because they mostly just fought with each other. But in that I love you and I hate you kind of a way. Like,
right.
She was expressing how her whole life had revolved around him and his issues. But also that she loves him so much. She worries about him and, wants him to be okay and all this stuff. So there's a lot of love there, but there was so much tension also. And then in the moment when Scott's mom kept telling him, like, go get one of your dad's suits out of the garage and wear it to your sister's graduation party. And so he was out in the garage, like, trying on the suit. And I was wondering if he was because he had that moment and he said, I love you, I'm so proud of you. Something like that, right? To his sister, but she wasn't there. She's talking to himself. And I was wondering if he was saying that as the brother or if he was saying that as his dad, wearing his dad's suit.
Yeah.
But either way, it was like a sweet moment. But then when he's around her, he's such a jerk. Yeah. So it's like that whole, like you're saying, like you can be sweet, but also a jerk, but also this and also that. And he just didn't really know how to, which we kind of learned through all his character, everyone he interacts with. He doesn't really know how to express himself.
Right.
And how to be that person.
Yeah, he doesn't really know how to express himself. He doesn't know how to open up. And I think in the ways that he has expressed himself, it's bothered people or caused people to worry or whatever. So then it just causes him not to want to express himself fully. Because every time he does, it ends up being a problem.
Right.
And I think the best part of that was when, which, you know, is kind of good. Like he's obviously very truthful, even if it's kind of like in his own kind of selfish way. But when he was at the party for his sister's graduation, and then, you know, he just started kind of like just saying how he felt. But then that uncle or whatever was like, college is a scam.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, look, who went to college? He was like, Bill Cosby went to Howard. So it's Ted Kaczynski went to Temple, blah, blah, blah. He's like, college is a scam. And then the sister was like, wait, so you're saying I should go to college? No, you should go.
You should go. You have the time of your life.
You have the time of your life.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and then when he was talking about the Crohn's disease and then how firefighters shouldn't have kids. And stuff like that. You know, like I feel that kind of way. Like my dad was a cop, and like a lot of my memories of him are him leaving to go to work because he had to work. Like,
right.
You know, it's like as a kid, it's not a great feeling, and it's not a great motivational situation to be like, yay, like my dad's helping other people. What about me? But as you become an adult, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like I understand. Like, you know, working and loving your job and trying to help people and trying to make a city that's really doing horribly better, and the pressure of that and the workload. Like I would go with my dad, like he would pick us up and then he'd have to do some sort of thing. So he'd take me to the station. There's just like piles of paperwork and stuff. I don't even know how much work he had to do. So it's like, as I got older, I was like, if I want to be an artist and if I want to kind of like do the things I want to do, I don't want to bring a kid into the world and be like, you know, like I always said to you, like, Dad, I have a soccer game. Like, I have a show, so I'm not going to be at your soccer game.
Right. Yeah. He laid into the firefighters and was telling them that, you know, it's selfish to have kids and be a firefighter and what that feels like for him as a kid. And then later throughout the movie, they expressed to him like who his dad was and how they saw him. And they were like, he was a true hero. He couldn't not help people. And I thought one moment in reference to that sort of was so his mom kicked him out and then he ends up in the firehouse, right? And then he's going to the bathroom and that guy comes out, the big firefighter man, right? The Old Spice fireman. He comes out and he says to Pete or Scott, he says something like, your dad was a hero, you're amazing too, or something. He's like complimenting Pete. And then Pete says, I didn't do anything. And then the guy just simply says, thank you for your service, or thank you for your sacrifice. Which is what he hadn't like really put it all together. Like, you know, we know the family sacrifices as well.
Right.
Like when people have jobs like this, like it's a lot of sacrifice on the family. Like you're saying, like your dad was always going to work. He was always working. So that's like, obviously you didn't sign up for that,
all I wanted is a TV antenna, but he had to help somebody. One of his coworkers that was across the street shot some guy, right? And so we never got the antenna.
So you know, So Pete's character, he was just kind of like, whatever. Like, didn't at the moment
Right.
was like, whatever. I think throughout the movie, I think he kind of figured it out
Right.
later.
Yeah, I think when you have to go through it. So he didn't become a fireman, but he started really seeing like who the firemen are and what they're doing, and like you said, it's like to make the parallel ugh, when I have to go to New York and hang out with my dad, I never know what is going to happen because he always runs into somebody and then we get sidetracked. And so it's like,
Hey, Spoon.
yeah, it's like somebody he knew from the neighborhood growing up because he's lived there all his life, or someone that he was on the force with, or somebody he helped or something. Like he saved a dude from like burning to death on the third rail one time. Like it's like those things are things that really benefited a lot of people and benefited the city. He locked up people. He he treated people with respect and all that type of stuff. So he did a lot of great things that kind of like you don't kind of like Pete's character. You don't really realize when you're younger. You're just kind of like, man, what is
Right.
going on here?
All you know
But then
is
you
your
realize
dad's
like,
not home
yeah,
or this job killed your dad.
right. And so it's like, oh, okay, I see the significance, and then I also get to see like who they are as a person, and not as just like this is my dad. He's all mine. No one else can have him. Type situation. So I thought that was cool because the reconciliation of that, and then him being able to get his life together by finding a purpose, and not just trying to think like how other movies would possibly do it, where I don't know, he just starts dating the girl, and then he just starts tattooing, and then Machine Gun Kelly just gives him a job. That's who the
Right. Things just
tattoo
fall into
artist that
place.
he went to go and talk to try to get a job. It just kind of fell into place, and then he has one like dip, like let's say they tried to rob the place and he almost got arrested, and then he goes straight and narrow, and then it cuts 3 years later and they have a kid, and he's got LA Inc. 2, and he's like doing amazing. But this was a better way of seeing that he had to really work through his demons and really um, see like part of the reality of it all. It's like, yeah, like we said, you miss on a lot of things, but you also gain a lot of things. And they were having what seemed like really deep conversations and relationship building in that firehouse, and they were a family unto themselves. So.
Yeah, and they really accepted. They were like, they let him stay, like because he was just got kicked out. So there was a big fight between Bill Burr and Pete, or
Right, Scott.
Ray and Scott. They have this
Scott.
Right, they have this big fight, and then Marissa Tomei, which I don't remember his mom's name, Marjorie or something. Mom.
Mrs.
Mom,
Cumberdale.
Yeah, mom comes home and she's like, "What the heck is going on? Both of y'all get out of my house."
I love that part.
Throws them out.
I think it was great that the women were not stupid TV women, movie
right.
women. They
she
were
was
like, "I'm not playing.
Mm-mm.
Get out of here.
This is nonsense. Both of y'all go." So, Ray had already been living at the firehouse, so that was fine. But Scott didn't have anywhere to go, so he bounces around from a few places and then ends up at the firehouse because it's the last place he could think of, I guess. And so Ray is like, fine, stay the night, sleeps on the couch. And then fully expected him to be gone the next day. But the captain, I guess is what he's called.
Yeah, Steve
Buscemi's character is like, nah, he's a good kid, he can stay. So they put him to work. Right. And then they haze him, and then eventually
fire hose him.
Yeah, after a couple of nights, or I don't know how long, but then he's like, he gets his own bed, which I thought was nice. Like
he was like a dog that they found.
Yeah, he was their pet, their firehouse pet. Yeah. Like they let him stay. They played
That's true,
tricks on him.
When they did leave, he would just sit by the
door waiting. The door. Yeah. So anyway, I like that whole development of. That was really when he was like trying to stand on his 2 feet, right? Like he was finding his purpose. He was doing something with his day, even if he was that funniest part where he's like washing the fire truck and like, what are you trying to show up sexy for a fire? Like, why does the truck need to be clean? Just giving structure and purpose to his day. And then they also like talked to him about his dad and.
Well, I thought that was an interesting thing. I forgot what Bill Burr said. oh yeah, he goes, he's like, you remember when his dad died, right? And he was like, yeah. And he goes like,
He
why do
said,
you
"What
still
was
have
the
this kid around? What blah, blah,
yeah
blah. He's like, you remember when his dad died, right? And he's like, yeah. And he was like, what was the first thing that you thought? And he goes, I wonder if that guy had kids. And he just kind of like looked at him.
yeah."
He's
He's
like,
like, "That's why we're
that's why
That's
we're
why
keeping him.
he's sticking around." Yeah,
And all the older dudes knew his dad, so they were trying to do, and I think that's another thing. The family, they were trying to do a solid by, one of their fallen coworkers
right,
by helping raise up his kid
right,
to a point where this guy could be, you know, a little bit better. I don't think he was going to be whole after this whole experience, but a
right.
little bit better and on a better track than he was before.
Yeah. So that was nice. Also, we haven't talked about this is one of my favorite parts of favorite things in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
When okay, so Mom and Ray really Mom sits Scott down and is like, "Look, you need to contribute more. By summer, you need to have your own apartment. You need to blah 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 blah." So she's kind of laying it down,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure was spurred on by Ray, being like nudging her, like, "Hey, you need to give your kids some boundaries."
Right.
So anyway, so they tell him like, and one of the ways you're going to start helping is you're going to walk Ray's kids to school.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, what the what? So he goes over to pick up the kids. Mom has never met or heard of him, Scott, and is like, who are you? Are you weird?
I just like how everything he explained, he was like, yeah, my mom's boning this guy. Like, you
Right.
just tell people that, like,
Yeah.
straight off. They'll be like, oh, okay.
So straightforward. So anyway, so my favorite parts, I loved his interactions with the kids and how that was so sweet. And that's
Yeah.
like all the layers of him, of like how he is a weirdo, he's a jerk, he is depressed,
Right.
but he's also really sweet with these kids.
But I think that's a thing. Generally, children are, they're pretty honest, but they're not hurtful
Scary.
people.
Yeah.
Like, adults are hurtful people. Like, I think people who deal with, depression or deal with trusting people trust kids because kids are going to be pretty honest. They don't have any hidden agendas. And if it is a hidden agenda, it's like they tricked you into getting ice cream. It's like what kind of motives do
Right.
these kids have? Like, most of the time,
Right.
they're not like pulling you into the 6-month long con game into getting you to join Nexus or something.
But I think it was a nice way of showing that he is a compassionate person and he does have feelings, because he didn't have to be like asking how they're doing or like,
No.
what do you like to do? And then let the kids sing and then tell her she was amazing and then get all interested in that kid's
No.
superhero thing. And so he was very engaged and treated them like people and
Yeah.
wanted to know about them. And he wasn't rude with them like he is like
Right.
his friends and other adults. Like, it showed like, another layer.
Right.
He can be this soft person, even though he doesn't treat his sister like this.
Right.
It's in there.
Yeah, I think that was a great device to kids. But I think, like I was saying, it's like, you know that there's nothing up with these kids.
Right.
And they're probably, they don't have the mental capacity to try to judge you in that kind of way.
Yeah.
So you could just be like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, blah, blah, blah. And then in reverse, they could be like, what's going on with you? It's like, I don't know. It's kind of blah, blah, blah. And they're like, are you sad? And you're like, yeah. And they're not going to be like, or, judge you in any kind of way. They're just going to be kids like, well, you know what I like to do when I'm sad? I like to read a book. And you're like, do you? And you're like, oh. And it's like, you just telling me that story made me feel better. I don't even need to read the dumb book.
Right.
I just feel good that you told me that story. So,
Yeah.
I just think, it was a great device. And I think that, people say that in general, like, kids are great for just mood stabilization, mainly if they're not your kids.
Yeah.
But, even people who are tired, they're like, oh, but, they go, but it's worth it, cause
Yeah, like our friends'
they're
kids
full
are
of
adorable.
wonder.
Yeah.
And they look at the world differently. They're hopefully not functioning adults. Like, it sucks when kids have to become adults too soon, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So anyway, that was one of my favorite bits.
what my least favorite part was?
What?
When Bill and Marissa were kissing. I was like, ah,
That was Pete David's his character's least favorite part too.
probably. Yeah, it's just because, like, I had worked with Nia on some stuff, so like, when I see Bill,
Right.
it's like when I see other people that
Like, Bill, stop it.
like yeah, like when I see Dustin on a sitcom or whatever, or I see this person, I see Tone Bell on TV, I see Tone Bell, I see Dustin Ibarra, I see Bill Burr.
Right.
I
You don't see Ray
I
or
don't
whatever
see
their
this actor,
characters
so I'm
are.
like, what are you doing? Like, it's not a big.
Well, they didn't do too much.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
I was like, no, don't lay down with her.
It wasn't too much, so.
Yeah, but yeah, this was a really good movie. There's tons more stuff.
What did you think of the ending? Okay, so towards the end, so I guess Pete's been at the firehouse. Then he one of the guys invites him, like, hey, you want to come on this call? Just jump in the truck. And so they go, and he sees Bill Burr's character Ray climbing into this building, and like flames keep shooting out, blowing out the windows, and it looks really scary. And Steve Buscemi tells him, he's gonna be okay. They know what they're doing. He's gonna be okay. And so he kind of just stands there waiting and watching, and that seems, I feel like that's the turning point, right? Like then after that, we see him acting differently, right? Isn't it after that he goes to his girl?
Goes to the girl and like actually shares his feelings and share why he was scared. And
Yeah.
all that.
So
and then he goes and helps Action Bronson, who shows up with a stab wound or a gunshot wound he doesn't really want to talk about.
Right.
And he uses the one of the fire vans or whatever.
Yeah, he takes a van.
Ones,
yeah.
When the lights come on and you're like, oh, there's a fire truck. And you're like, what the heck is that thing? Like, that's just a
fire truck. Suburban.
Yeah, it's a fire Suburban. He's got to go pick up sandwiches or something. But yeah, him and Bill's character, he shows up with Action Bronson, trying to get him help, but they don't care. And then Bill's character shows up and like, I'm with Hook and Ladder 42. You got to help this guy. And then they're at the hospital with his mom works at. His mom sees that they're both working together and they're heroes. And then Bill's character they started bonding and he got a bunch of tattoos.
Oh yeah, he let Scott tattoo his back.
No Chinese characters, no stupid stuff. But then we finally get to see his back after a couple of scenes of him like doing the tattoo.
And I fully expected this to be just this amazing, because all the other tattoos we'd seen,
bit of it, and
right, and it looked really nice. And all the other tattoos we'd seen on his friends were just awful.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, this is going to be the big reveal of the amazing. I thought it was going to be like a giant back mural.
Right. And then
it was going to be
then it goes on to
gorgeous. Yeah. And no. What did we see?
We saw Chinese characters. We saw an alien gang.
Yeah.
Like they were like kneeling.
I think there was a ghost, a little ghost
there was a ghost.
there.
Yeah.
There was a pretty cool looking dragon.
There was a Star of David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many random stuff.
Remember. He had a tramp stamp as well.
Oh yeah, he had a tramp stamp and some like really awful. I don't know what those were. There was a face of somebody.
Yeah,
it was bad.
But then there was his kind of new family.
Yeah,
it was
which looked decent.
And yeah, all them Scott, his sister and his mom.
Yeah, and then I think in the little son was his dad. I think he put his dad's
like the
face.
Baby from Teletubbies.
Yes. I think he put his dad's face on his possibly new stepdad's back. Whatever.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah. But anyway. Yeah, so that was the big reveal. And that was kind of hilarious.
And that was pretty much the end, right?
No. So then after that. So the very end was Bill dropping, or Ray dropping Scott off at the ferry terminal, I guess.
Oh, right.
To go meet up with the girl, with Kelsey,
right,
who we hadn't seen in a while in the movie, because she was like, I can't with you. Yeah. And so he realizes he does in fact love her and he needed to go.
I said it backwards.
Tell her. So he meets her at the ferry. He knows she has a big test that day because she's trying to get some job in the city. Civil something.
Civil shepherd.
So he wanted to go show support and show that he can be there for her. And so they ride the ferry together, and he's like, Did he say I love you? Like
He did. He said,
yeah.
I love you. I've always loved you. He's just been afraid to say
Yeah,
it.
I just don't know how to express myself.
So they said it, yeah.
Yeah. So he lays it all out there and he helps her study for her test and she's like the kiss and then she was like confused but cool with it and then she's like, "Well, will you wait for me until my test is done? It's like 3 hours." He's like, "Yeah." So she's like, "Really?" So, he's like trying to be a better human and be there for people. And then that's how the movie ended with him just looking out at Manhattan, I guess.
City Hall in Manhattan. Yeah, 3 hours is nothing in Manhattan.
Yeah.
You could figure out something to do, especially pre-COVID.
I was just a little surprised at the ending that it ended on a love declaration, essentially. I thought it was going to have like a cheesy rom-com ending for a split second. But it was a little more. It was a little more grounded than that.
Like he was going to be running towards the ferry.
Yeah, like this great dash to the ferry to catch her for some reason. I don't know, but
I think this movie
was a little more grounded, a little bit more.
Right. I feel like this movie, and I think I've said this before, is like another movie we talked about where they took all the tropes and then say, how do we make these not tropes and more realistic? And it was like, okay, somebody's going to the ferry, you got to catch them and then go with them and have a conversation and not like make this huge love declaration, but just kind of like, but then also show that you are there. I think that was a good thing. He was showing that he was there for her. So she wasn't like, I got to take this test. I got to study for it. He's like, oh, no, shut up. I got a bunch of stuff to tell you. You're going to listen to me. You're not going to study.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to declare my love. Then I'm going to actually support you because that's what people do in relationships.
Right.
I'm going to help you study while we cross the ferry. And then I'm going to wait for you. And then we're going to probably do something really fun because you passed. But the thing I thought just a second ago was be really funny because I don't think he's been in Manhattan much. Is they both just moved to Manhattan? She becomes like a big time something and they just live in Manhattan. She's like, I thought you were going to help Staten Island. She's like, it's trash. That trash city.
Trash.
It's where raccoons live.
Blow up the bridge. We don't need to go over there.
we don't need the Verrazano, the once longest bridge in the world.
Yeah.
I wonder where it stands now. So
yeah.
I think that's most of what we should say. I wrote down a ton of quotes, but I'm not going to go through them.
No? You want to give us one?
He had nepotism.
I did love that. When he was working in the restaurant, and that was a salty waitress. And she said he had nepotism.
Yeah, look her up. I wonder if she's like a local comic. Yeah. There were so many comics in this movie.
Okay, we didn't talk about it.
It was good. They were good. They were good for the roles, and they did really well.
The restaurant staff was entertaining. Okay, is fighting for tips a real thing in Staten Island? Someone tell me.
I'm pretty
Someone
sure
write
it's
in.
not.
Is this a thing?
That sounds illegal. I'm sure it happens in places, but I think that sounds
if you haven't
illegal.
watched, he gets a job at a restaurant and then finds out at the end of the day there's a bucket of tips and you have to fight for them. And he goes, for the tips we earned? And she was like, yeah. So you had to like box somebody in the face. Anyway,
just punch him.
He just got knocked out. He just got knocked out. Yeah, but what is this? Where did this come from? What the heck? So anyway, I thought that was funny. So the the tomatoes on this
79.
Ooh, close. 74.
That's me.
The popcorn, the audience 84%. So the audience did enjoy this movie.
That's all that matters.
More so than the critics. So I don't know what y'all's problem was, critics, but
in your face, critics.
This is a good film. I enjoyed it. And I appreciate Pete putting his life out there.
Yep.
Like this.
Appreciate Amazon only charging us
$2.99.
Well, I think it was $4.99 because standard definition was $2.99. Maybe it was $2.99.
I think it was $2.99 because we're kind of cheap.
Yeah. It was a special they were running.
It was.
It
was Prime Day.
Prime Day.
Yeah.
I was like, Alexa Day?
Yeah, it was Prime Day. So, yeah, I think it's pretty brave. I don't really use that term very often. I think brave gets kind of thrown out there a lot.
And the home.
But I will say that's brave of Pete to go through this and put all this so much of himself into this.
Pete.
And to put so much of his life out there. And he did say this was healing for him.
That's good.
Yeah.
We all like Pete.
Yeah.
It was
Pete, you're invited on the podcast anytime.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Knowing Pete, if he actually did listen, he'd be like, okay.
Okay. I love that sketch on SNL so much. Who was it?
Yeah.
Your mom. She was like, I don't get it. Or
No,
whatever. She didn't like it?
She was joking. She's like, I don't.
Oh.
She said, I just don't want to see that stupid okay guy. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? I was like, that's so great. She's like, no, I'm just messing around. Like, he's just so dumb. That's what she was saying. She's like, he's so dumb.
Okay.
So,
all right,
so,
guys.
you
We
know,
like
you
the
know
movie.
the deal.
Subscribe.
All that stuff.
Thank you to our Patreon supporter, Ben Merritt.
Ben Merritt. We got to put I've been slacking on the Patreon. So, hopefully he's still there. If not,
he's been
turn our backs on Ben Merritt.
No.
Ben Merritt's nobody.
No.
Much
Ben
love.
Merritt's a great supporter, and you can be too. Check out our Patreon.
Patreon.com/Hey We Just Saw a Movie. Our next movie will be, I don't know.
I don't know. We might watch, I have a few actually, some more kind of scary-ish movies.
Oh.
Or, I know it's not October anymore, but there's no like Thanksgiving movies we need to watch.
The
so
13th is on Friday.
Ooh. But there's a couple
Spooky.
movies on Netflix I want to watch that have a spookier vibe.
Let us know if you want us to do Christmas movies for Christmas time.
Yes.
Or maybe in 2 weeks.
Josh, I should make you sit.
I don't want to do those. I don't want to do the Lifetime Netflix ones.
Oh,
I mean,
come
like
on.
Die Hard. That's a Christmas
I
movie.
want your
Christmas Vacation.
opinion
that's a
of
Christmas
these
movie.
cheesy movies.
Maybe we could do one, but that's
Ooh,
it.
A Christmas Prince.
Ugh.
Or Princess, or I forgot what it's called.
Gag me with a spoon in my butt.
Nobody seems to ever comment, but you guys can go on our Facebook.
You guys can.
Go on our Facebook, send us
I
an
know,
email.
I know no one ever asked me to dance, but you can ask me to dance.
Tell me what Christmas movie I should torture my husband with.
There you go.
That's all. Send
on
us
our
an email.
Instagram.
What's
Send
our
us an
email?
Hey, we just saw a movie
Oh, it is?
podcast.
At gmail.com.
Yeah.
Or you can go to our website and find all this info too. Or Instagram or Facebook. Send us a comment. Tell me what we need to watch.
You sound thirsty right now. You sound
Guys,
thirsty.
I'm inviting you to be a part of our podcast.
I'm so parched. Please, someone like me.
I'm just creating family.
That's right, family. And on that
All right,
note,
fam.
family.
Bye.
Bye, family.
Okay.